Happy Monday morning to everyone. I hope that you had a fantastic weekend. And here we are in week 3. So be looking for your deconstruction projects, all the stuff from last week over the next couple of days. Those deconstruction projects sometimes take me some time to get through, but I will have them done and back to you by Friday at the latest. So make sure that you read any feedback I have you this week, and for those projects it's especially important because that was kind of practice for what we're going to be doing this week, which is a formal analysis paper. So where last week you were taking images and kind of just in quick list format, making observations, you're going to actually be writing now a formal paper with very similar ideas behind it. So what we got going on this week, we're talking about mediums and methods. So again, weeks 2 and 3 really are about developing all that vocabulary so that we can use it to write. And then we're going to be getting into some more interesting ideas about context and the role of the artist and all that good stuff over the next several weeks after this. So these are kind of the meat and potatoes weeks of just, whetting our appetite, getting those terms down so that we, later on, we're much more confident in writing about this kind of stuff. So here's our agenda. With your reading, we're going to be doing chapter 4. This is the Artist at Work, Conventions and Training. You have your lecture, of course, as well. And we have an Artist of the Week. We're doing Pablo Picasso this week. You do have a Q&A with that. But the discussion board that we would have been doing normally, I've canceled. So yay, one less assignment to worry about this week. And the reason I canceled that is because the formal analysis paper, I want you to really focus on it. So I'm trying to lighten your load so that you can really dig in on that formal analysis paper and spend the time that you need there. So make sure that those papers are looking good. And then, of course, you have your quiz. Okay, everything due day 7, 11:59. So remember, we start on Monday and on Sunday. Let's talk about your reading and lecture. So as we just mentioned, we're reading chapter 4 of the text. Here is the PDF slides for your lecture, and you can view the lecture video below. Please let me know every once in a while some of the links that I use in lecture, because it's YouTube and this is just the nature of the beast. Sometimes those links, on YouTube go away, they get changed. And I try to stay on top of that. I don't always catch all of them. So if you come across a link in your lecture PDF that's not working, please let me know. Thanks so much for that. So go ahead and view your lecture. So I'll walk through and talk through everything, and then you'll just want to hit pause when you want to view those other slides. Again, big vocabulary list this week, but remember on your quizzes, and remember, for your formal analysis papers too, that you want to just be able to go back and look at this. I don't expect all of these terms to get locked into your brain by any means, but I want to have them here as you for a reference, and it will help you when you're writing those papers to go back over the week 3, and then go back over the week 2 list and make sure that you're really kind of varying the terms that you're using and using the terms to describe the works that are appropriate. Okay, Artist of the Week. Again, we're doing Pablo Picasso. So this is a documentary series called Masters of the Modern Era, and I've given you the link to it here, and you can also view it here in YouTube. It's about an hour. They're really good. They're kind of a young British art historian. He does some, makes them very hip and cool, makes them very accessible. Students tend to really like this documentary. So then I want you to answer the following questions. Remember, these are just brief. You can do them right in the text editor. Remember, don't do it in the comment section. Last week I noticed that students were still doing this, that you were putting your answer here in the comments. Remember to hit write submission and do it this way, or else your work shows up in this kind of strange side panel instead of being submitted as actual text. So again, don't add comments, hit write submission, do it there. So enjoy that documentary. Remember, these are 2 to 3 sentences per question. So we're looking at what was something you learned about Picasso that you didn't know before. He's one of the most iconic artists in the world, but there's a lot to know about him. Number 2, how has Picasso changed the way we think about art in the contemporary world? And 3, what method of art making Picasso experimented with is your favorite and why. Okay, let's get to this formal analysis paper. So you're going to choose one of the 3 iconic paintings that I've given you below, and you're going to write a 2 to 3 page formal analysis. So a formal analysis is quite simply an analysis of the forms utilized in the work of art. It's a close inspection of the artist's use of aspects such as color, shape, line, mass, space. So a lot of that vocabulary we learned in week 2. We are simply pulling back the curtain and looking at the tools in the artist's toolbox. So you need to use a minimum of 10 formal elements of design in your analysis. And remember that this paper, when we write formal analysis, this is not based on opinion, but on observable truths. So do not conduct any outside research for the paper. You don't need to. You may briefly talk about themes that may or may not be present in the work, but only as to how those themes are communicated through elements of design. Be sure to consider how the viewer may have a specific emotional response to the work because of the way the artist has composed it. So, for example, how lights and shadows might affect mood, for an example. So this, again, I don't want you to do any outside research. If you wanted to go and just read briefly about the work just so you have a background, if you're more comfortable doing that, then that's fine. I just don't want a whole analysis of the meaning, behind the work according to what you believe or according to cultural context. We do that in other types of analysis, but this is a different kind. So again, this is a formal analysis, and that's what I want. So I don't want I, me, my. I don't want first person narrative voice here. I want you to keep it as a formal academic paper. So third person is really best. One might think, instead of you or me or I or us or we, try and keep it in that third person. Using we is fine. So the paper needs to include a title page and be formatted according to either MLA or APA style guides. I don't mind which one you choose as long as you pick one and are consistent with it. So please title the paper using the title of the artwork you choose to analyze. And this is going to be submitted as a safe assign, so it will be scanned for plagiarism, which this one shouldn't be a problem. You shouldn't really be having any reference material here because we're not really doing any outside research. So if your safe assign is kind of pinging a high percentage, then there's probably going to be an issue because, we really shouldn't be doing a lot of research here anyway. So make sure that we're not plagiarizing because I'll catch it. Okay, so your first option is Da Vinci's Virgin and Child with St. Anne. So we have, a Renaissance era painting, very iconic work of art. A lot to talk about there with the formal elements of design. Your second option, complete opposite end of the spectrum, we're looking at Matisse's Le Bonheur de Vivre, which is The Joy of Life. And this is from the early 20th century. This is a very iconic painting of the modern era. So you want to pay specific attention to use of color and use of scale to create this kind of imaginary space. And your third option is also from the modern era, a little bit later than Matisse and a little less abstract. So this is Edward Hopper's Nighthawks. Again, another really iconic painting. You've probably seen this parodied many times. The most famous one is the one with James Dean and Elvis and Marilyn Monroe. And I think, is it Humphrey Bogart or is it just James Dean and Elvis? I can't remember. But you've probably seen that and thought that was the original painting. It's not. This is. So here you want to really think about mood and the way that this whole painting is organized because there's a lot going on here too. So I tried to pick 3 options that have a lot going on as far as composition goes that will make it easy for you to really nail in those formal elements of design. So if you have questions about any of these works or about this paper in general, please let me know. I'm more than happy to look at rough drafts, or if you kind of want to say these are the 10 elements I was thinking of using, am I on the right track? Make sure that these are unique elements. We don't want to double up and say color as one and then complementary color scheme as another, right? You would want to go with complementary color scheme if that's what you're seeing. You want to be as descriptive as you can, and you want to try and make all of these very unique. It also helps me, and I don't require this, but it helps me as an instructor when I'm grading. If you put these elements of design, the terms that you're going to use, these 10 formal elements, make them bold or make them italic so that I can easily pinpoint which ones, so you're being really direct about what terms you're using here. So again, any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. And then you've got your quiz, again, due Sunday night. So quiz due, your formal analysis paper, 2 to 3 pages, and that's 2 to 3 pages of text, please. Make sure that you include the image. So just like this, you can just pull it right out of Blackboard if you want, and a citation with it. That right there in the paper. It always helps to have the image right there in the paper. You've got your artist of the week. We are looking at Pablo Picasso. There he is as a young boy. He was quite a cute little kid. And then you have your lecture material and reading material. So still a lot going on, but I lightened the load slightly. Remember, no discussion board. You won't even find it. I completely deleted it out of the course. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, be looking for your grades from week 2. Make sure you read those deconstruction feedback from that assignment, and have a wonderful, wonderful week.